Well, here we are on a Monday night, the 17th of November. Boy, this month is going quick, and before you know it, it'll be Christmas and New Year's. And for before that, we got Thanksgiving. And before that, we still have some cold weather in the Northeast and a little bit of rain, maybe even some mixed precipitation on the northern fringe of this little patch of moisture that's coming through Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning. A bit stormy in the west, but overall, the nation is on the quiet side. But of course, Joe and I are loud as hell right here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. And you can support the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. How, you ask? Well, very easily, very simply. If you do your holiday shopping on Amazon, you get your stuff. Amazon throws us a little bit of coin for sending you there. And to get there, just use our referral link that's pinned at the top of the chat board, or it's on the descriptor to this podcast on YouTube or on Spotify, if you're watching us on Spotify. Anyway, great way to support the show, keeps it commercial free, and we'd like to keep it that way. At least the live portion is commercial free. And for that weather geek in your life, Tempest by WeatherFlow. It's the revolutionary Tempest weather system. It's easy to install, runs off your mobile device. You can get a display for it if you want, and you'll be part of the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. The link for this is on the chat board tonight, pinned at the top. It's also on the description to this podcast. And of course, it wouldn't be the Joe and Joe Weather Show unless there was a special coupon code, Joe Rayo.
That coupon code is Autumn 2025. And if you use the coupon code, you will get, and this is only in conjunction with Tempest now, don't try it with your department store because they'll look at you rather quizzically, but with Tempest, it's special because that means that you can get up to 10% off on virtually everything and anything that Tempest sells. A good deal indeed.
Yes, Joseph Carr starts off the night by hitting the tip jar. Thank you, Joseph Carr. I'm going to click on the little heart there, and there you go. I think I did this right. Let me just write him a little thank you note. And how was your day, Mr. Rayo? Was the wind still busy out there?
Yeah, I don't really mind the cold, but when you have the wind to go along with the cold, then it gets kind of brutal. And have you ever noticed, Joe, that the 72 degrees that you have in your home during the winter feels a lot different than the 72 degrees you have inside your home with air conditioning in the summer?
Right. And that's body acclimation. Of course, I wouldn't know about 72 degrees in my house in the wintertime because I keep it at 65 during the day and 61 at night.
Well, we drop the temperatures before we go to bed at night. So, 61, 62. And it's cool down here, too, where I am, where my home office happens to be. I notice also Mike Waterhouse Bonsai mentioning a place I haven't thought of in years, Mars Hill, Maine. I used to do the weather for a couple of radio stations, one WSJR in Madawaska and WLVC in Fort Kent. And Mars Hill is in Aroostook County, Maine, up in the northern end of the state. So if there's any place that's going to get cold enough for snow this early in the season, it usually is and was Aroostook County. And according to Mike Waterhouse Bonsai, over 10 inches of snow in Mars Hill. So there you go. If you're a snow lover, you can head up to Mars Hill and you can ski and do anything you want up there.
Yeah, you sure can. Welcome tonight to everybody on the chat board and to those of you watching in the background. Welcome to tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. We're here Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. The occasional Friday and Saturday if there's a storm running around, which of course we will notify you that we're adding extra shows. Not planning to do that anytime soon. So subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn your notifications on so you do not miss us, okay? And if you like the show, of course, hit the like button because when we get to 100 likes, Joe Rayo tolls the bell.
Yes, and we toned it. We hit it We hit it a few times, especially for you, Joe, last night. Finished off the
Yes,
show with a bell for you.
I did. I don't know how I guessed it right. I can never guess a lottery ticket correctly. Not that I play. I never hardly ever play a lottery ticket, but that's me. Beautiful day here. Cold though this morning. I mean, we were down below freezing, and then we got up to double nickels for a high. Right now, it's 47 here at my house with a relative humidity outside of 42%. So it's nice and comfortable. I'm liking that.
It's
And
41. For our high here in Putnam Valley was 41 under probably broken to overcast skies. And we even had, along about the early part of the afternoon, we had a couple little spits of snow. You probably could rub your hair, and if you had dandruff, you probably could get more flakes out of the flakes that we saw locally here this afternoon. But we did have a teeny tiny little bit, and right now it's 38 and partly cloudy, and the winds are still rather active. Joe, I just took the dog out. I'd say that they're gusting at times to, 15, maybe even 20 miles per hour.
all right. Well, we have a weak weather system coming through tomorrow night into early Wednesday morning. It's probably going to produce some light rain, and I would not be surprised if on the northern fringe of that, because the northern edge of the precip shield is probably going to make it up to about you, or maybe a little bit further north than that, but not much. The question is, the air is so dry ahead of it, so how much reaches the ground? It's not going to be a big precip producer. It's really more of a nuisance thing. But I would not be surprised if on that northern fringe, cold spots, northwest Jersey, northeast Pennsylvania, maybe, and right along that northern edge as it runs into the lower part of the lower Hudson Valley and into Connecticut, that there might be maybe a couple of wet snowflakes mixed in.
Yes, I had mentioned a few wet snowflakes or maybe a few spotty scattered showers in the after midnight hours tomorrow night until the early part of the morning on Wednesday. But then Wednesday probably turns out to be bright and sunny, especially by midday and afternoon. So there's just a little, if you're into snow, I guess you could say this is going to be a cheap thrill if it does happen, although it'll be happening while most of us are asleep after midnight tomorrow night.
Right. So we can get started. We don't have that nasty. I almost hesitate whenever I have technical glitches. I hesitate to bring them up, if only because of the fact that when they're not happening, if I say something, it might magically make it happen, and I don't want that to be the case. And we don't seem to have that nasty audio delay that we had yesterday, nor did we have any dropouts yesterday, which was nice too. So I think I found the problem. I don't know. See, I have this theory. I mean, I have this. What I do is, if something's technical goes wrong, and I just rack my brains out, and I'll spend hours trying to figure out what it is. I get to a certain point where it's like I can't do this anymore. I'll just wait, and eventually it just sort of fixes itself. So I'm hoping beyond hope that is the case this time around. So we got the watches and warnings up. We still have a few winter weather advisories up in south central New York for some snow showers that are going on there. And ahead of this next weather system, we've got a handful of winter weather advisories in southeast Ohio and one county in northeastern Kentucky and a couple of counties on the West Virginia side in western West Virginia. Also, a little strip of winter weather advisories in southern Minnesota to Wisconsin. And in the southwest, we have winter storm warnings up for one geographically big county in Nevada, and flash flood watches up further south around Las Vegas, interestingly enough, and also bending back into the Sierra Nevadas. Do you have anything flash flood watches to winter storm warnings in one part of one county and winter weather advisories as well? And if you look on the lower left, you can see Alaska, where the west coast of Alaska and that nose that sticks out for the 50-mile walk to Russia, there's a winter storm warning up, and they got winter weather advisories on either side of that. So some wintry weather going on in the great state of Alaska. Meanwhile, Joe, our low is between New Brunswick and Newfoundland. It's a 978 low. The gradient is tight in New Brunswick back to, about, I would say, central New England. It's still tight enough where the wind is a bit on the busy side, but it has come off the highs of yesterday and overnight.
The pressures,
No,
what is the pressure?
the wind gusts have come. It's still a little bit breezy, but it's not cranking at 40 miles an hour plus like it was last night.
Right, got it, got it. Yeah, it was a fairly intense little monster, wasn't it? And that is the reason why we had the wind advisories locally here last night. But I tell you, the winds were still fairly busy out there during the day today. In fact, we had winds, as I said, locally here, probably gusting in excess of 25. I'm sure along coastal areas, more like, in excess of 35 miles an hour. Still pretty good. And the winds will die off a little bit tonight, but it'll still be rather breezy tomorrow. People ask me now, when are the winds going to stop, Joe? I think we'll finally see a noticeable diminution of the winds, a calming down of the winds tomorrow night and Wednesday with bright sunshine and much less wind. It'll also be much less harsh, and it should be a really, really very nice day, right smack in the middle of the work week.
Meanwhile, we've got a low right in the smack in the middle of central Kansas, and it's occluded. There's actually another low that's up in central Nebraska. But this weather system that's going to be moving eastward, and because we have the blocky nature of the upper atmosphere across the North Atlantic, the weather system is being forced to the south, and also because we have this big low that's taking forever to move out of Atlantic Canada, it's not going to do it anytime soon. It's going to crawl. This system is going to be forced almost straight east and take a track to the south, but it's also going to it's going to weaken a bit as it approaches the coastline, and it's going to stay weak once it moves offshore. But that's the one that's going to probably bring that period of rain and maybe that northern fringe of mix come Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. And meanwhile, out in the west, we've got a series of fronts and lows that are sitting in California and Nevada, and this is all that Pacific energy that continues to come in from off the coast and bringing waves of rain and uh, probably some thunderstorms in the mix there, as well as we saw with the winter weather in the mountain areas in the southwest. And on the satellite loop tonight, you still see that rotation in the northeast. Very large system. You can see the spinning going on between Nova Scotia and Newfoundland, and the clouds that are running from southeastern Canada over the northeast. So there's still going to be some patchy cloud cover overnight. And then you see the short wave, a little rotation back in Nebraska, and that's that system I just mentioned that's going to be moving straight east underneath that Atlantic Canada low, which is why it can't really do anything. And then in the southwest, you see the moisture that is streaming northward. Beautiful weather across the deep south and the southeast in Florida, up through the mid Atlantic states. It was a gorgeous day here today, cloud free from start to finish. Uh, Lots of sunshine all day long. And on the radar tonight, we've got some snow showers up in northern New York and in northern Vermont. Not much going on in Maine, but still some patches of snow in the St. Lawrence River Valley. And then we got this arm. It's not even though it's got that comma shape, Joe. This is not an impressive system. There's an area of rain with it. There's even an area of heavier precip in into South Dakota. But by the time it gets here, that a lot of that, some of that moisture will survive, but not all of it.
Yeah, it'll kind of diminish as it makes its way across the country. So it's not going to be arriving here with the same potency as it did when it entered the West Coast.
And we've got also a little bit of convection there northwest of St. Louis. You can see it there on the radar in Missouri. And then here's the precip in California, streaming northward up into Nevada. And of course, when it gets into the mountains of the Sierra Nevadas, it's going to be in the form of snow. And when it reaches into southern Nevada, you're going to wind up with some heavy rains there with the potential for flash flooding. And that's what WPC is indicating for that area of 1.5 to 2.5 inches of rain in that zone, and also in Southern California, anywhere from a half an inch to some uh, areas of 2 inches plus of liquid in some of the mountains. Meanwhile, we have a stripe from Texas northeastward into West Virginia of 3/4 of an inch to 1.5 inches, and then some areas of several inches, especially in northeast Texas and into southern Oklahoma. But that is really kind of split. That's down the road as we go into the weekend with respect to that. And WPC is also indicating a half inch. Now, this is not all from the Tuesday night system for southern New Jersey. So these are 7-day precip totals of a half inch of liquid. Southern Pennsylvania, the southern half of New Jersey, 1/4 of an inch to just south of New York City, and then 1/10 of an inch north of there. Not much in the southeast, nothing in Florida, and parts of the northern plains of the northern Rockies really not showing much of anything. So our gradient relaxes. Here comes the low. Tries to take a northeast move, and then it gets just shoved southward from higher pressures to the north, and then that Atlantic Canada low. There's no room here for any kind of development, is there? There isn't, Joe. There's no room.
No, no, and without any room to flex its muscles, so the atmospheric muscles, so to speak, it's not going to be able to intensify to any great degree. So yeah, it's and it all depends upon how you look at things. I've seen a few people on the chat board, complaining somewhat bitterly. Well, when are we going to start getting nor'easters and
Oh, good
that kind
God,
of stuff?
stop already. Will you just stop? It's the 17th of November, for Christ's sake. Jesus. And it's like a bunch of babies all wanting to play with the same toy,
Exactly.
you know? But here's our low, and you see there's an area of rain showers and just an ever slight hint of blue on that northern fringe that gets just to about New York City and northern New Jersey, maybe into Westchester County and parts of Long Island. And then by Wednesday, it doesn't, nothing during the day tomorrow, so the day side is fine. It's tomorrow night, probably between, say, 10 p.m. To about, maybe 4 or 5 a.m. Wednesday morning. And then out it goes, and we should see improving weather conditions during the day on Wednesday, although it's still going to be on the chilly side with a high to the north. And in the meantime, there's all this Pacific energy that's coming in, and part of that's going to break away and come eastward here on Friday. You can see a low there in Oklahoma, with some showers and storms in Texas on Thursday into Oklahoma, and rain from eastern Colorado eastward to Illinois and Indiana. There's also a front that's pushing through the northern Great Lakes that's swinging eastward at the same time. And the models have gone a different route with this, and it probably makes a lot of sense given the fact that we've got this blocking going on. So even this one, Joe, is going to wind up getting shoved to the south. So, the European is trying to bring in some rain Friday night into Saturday morning. This will be the third system where it'll be like this. But that's how this is going to play out. And again, it's another system that really doesn't have enough upper air support, so it's going to just get stretched out and stay on the weakish side. And then once that goes by, the weekend looks actually pretty good.
Yes, unless something slows up that overnight Friday system and has it spill over into a significant part of Saturday, the morning hours for the most part. Unless that happens, whatever is around should be pretty well gone or leaving us first thing in the morning on Saturday. And you're right, much of Saturday and Sunday look pretty darn nice as well. Also, moderation in temperature, especially so when we get toward the end of the week into the start of the weekend. Be
Right.
nice to see temperatures in the 50s again.
There's just a look at maybe next week with Thanksgiving coming. There's some kind of weak front that comes by on Tuesday with colder air for New England. And some of that cold air will probably bleed down to the mid Atlantic states. And there's another low that's coming out of Texas. Now, this one, the blocking is going to relax somewhat. So this system might go to our west, as indicated here. But again, staying very weak doesn't really do much with it. for Thanksgiving Day. I mean, chances are, even though it does show some patchy precip here and there, it could still wind up being so weak that it'll be dry. And then something more important, at least on the European, but it's too far down the road where it develops a coastal low. There's your nor'easter, children, uh, on the European today. It would be sometime on that Thanksgiving weekend, the 29th and the 30th, with the European blessed you with a change with snow over New Jersey and southern New England. So there you go. But again, it's 11 days plus, so I would not. I would just not bank on this. There is a colder look to it, longer range, and I do want to just touch upon a couple of things about that, Joe. The Arctic Oscillation, the AO, is forecast to it's actually been negative. So if you want a little explanation with regards to why things are the way they are now, it's with the cold that we've had with the early cold. Well, the Arctic Oscillation went negative around the 4th or 5th of November and has been fairly strongly negative right up until today. Now, it is forecast to just briefly spike back up to slightly positive before it turns around. And as we head into the last days of November and into early December, it goes negative again. Now, usually when the Arctic Oscillation is negative, that favors colder air being displaced southward. It's indicating higher than normal pressures across the entire Arctic region from one side to the other. So it would favor displacement of cold air southward. So we have that. If you want to look at the NAO, which has been a big driver here, because it's also been negative uh, pretty much following the Arctic Oscillation here when it went negative. And it got pretty strongly negative here as we're into the 17th of November. But here again, the NAO looks like it spikes back up to the neutral line. Sometimes when the NAO is deep, is when it's negative and it goes from negative to neutral, that's when you usually see some kind of storminess around. So, but it's sort of it's not a sharp spike. It's a series of little spikes upward. So I don't know if that's going to necessarily play out this time around, but that goes neutral. And the Pacific North America Index, which is when it's positive, it's trough in the east and ridge in the west, is actually forecast to go a little negative, but not much. I mean, it's just going to go slightly negative, although it's slightly positive now. So the teleconnections. As you're going to start looking at these more and more going forward, aren't to me they're not really signaling anything definitive at this point. But I do think that the general tendency for the Northeast to be colder than normal is probably going to continue for the most part for the rest of the month. There might be the odd day here and there where it'll get a little bit above normal and warm up, but it's if you're looking for temperatures to go up to 70 or better, unless there's a big developing storm out to our west, that's not going to happen.
There was a very interesting article. I don't know how many of you get USA Today and are acquainted with the name Doyle Rice, who has been writing weather columns for them for many years now. But on November the 15th being this past Saturday, Doyle Rice and another writer for USA Today, Janet Loricki, wrote La Nina versus polar vortex forecast warning of, and putting this in quote marks now, extraordinary winter weather. Sudden dramatic shift in temperatures high in the atmosphere will dance with the La Nina weather pattern. There won't be a clear winter, and forecasters are still determining just how cold it may possibly get. So you might want to.
Well, that's one.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's what we've been
yeah,
talking about here on Joe and Joe.
right.
Sudden stratospheric warming, collapse of the polar vortex, colder air plunging southward. And they've Doyle Rice, for example, putting this all into perspective, and of course, getting a lot of people to come to the site by using terms like extraordinary and
That's
unique
right.
event
Yeah.
doing, and you know,
Well,
clear case of clickbait, but that it does the job if you're interested in that sort of stuff.
you write an article, you want it to be read. I just have a problem when people when the headlines are deliberately deceptive. and then you go read the article, and it's the exact opposite of the headline. So that drives me crazy. But here's the look at the stratosphere, the 10 millibars on the GFS. I mean, we have a very stretched out polar vortex. I mean, it's just, I mean, it's stretched from one side that's in Siberia and goes south into China and India, and on the other side, it stretched all the way down into the southwestern United States. I mean, this is unusual for November to see this, and it just sort of stays in this stretched mode. In fact, on the overnight models, a little split occurred east of Greenland that drifted southwestward, which was kind of interesting to see. And it stays weak and stretched all the way through the rest of the month and into the first days of December. So, as long as you don't see the vortex wrap up like a tight ball over the Arctic region, which is what you usually see in strong El Nino or La Nina years, where it gets really wrapped up like a tight little ball, uh, you're gonna get chances for some winter weather as we get into December. So maybe this will be one of those Decembers where we actually get above normal snowfall. We haven't really seen that in recent years. Although you go back from 2000 to 2020, you saw it a lot. And then you go back to 30 years before and you didn't see it very much. So, December is one of those months where you get stretches where, and it goes in cycles, you get stretches where it snows a lot, and then you get stretches where it snows relatively little. It seems to me, Joe, that we do have things in place that would suggest a very interesting month of December, but there are no guarantees from management in the weather world.
And didn't Dave Tolerus say, in this article by Doral Rice, he's talking about the the polar vortex collapsed stratospheric warming bumping into La Nina conditions. But wasn't it Dave Tolerus who said that La Nina was on its last legs just a few weeks ago, and that
Well,
it'd be over gone by the end of next
it's
month?
very weak. The La Nina is weak. And it's now, but I just go back to last year because the La Nina was forecast, and the European was guilty of this last year, where it kept forecasting the La Nina to break down, and it just took longer and longer and longer. I think that was last year that happened, or it might have been the year before, the winter before that. But a weak La Nina I don't, is not, to me, is not a big issue. Okay, it's not a big issue if you've got these other things. This is the thing that I get really hacked off because there were certain people who just kind of focus on the same thing as if there's only one driving force in the atmosphere with regards to how weather evolves. And they just bang it into the ground over and over again, and they never stop. They say the same thing all the time, all the time. Oh, there's a La Nina, therefore. Okay, well, that's not how weather works, folks. Yeah, there's a La Nina, but there's also all kinds of other factors, including what we pointed out with respect to the stratosphere, the polar vortex, the weak state of the polar vortex, the stretched out state of the polar vortex, and the fact that we have higher than normal pressures all across the Arctic region with a negative North Atlantic oscillation. I mean, these factors all play together. So, if you're going to stick to one thing, uh, you're you know you're not smart. Okay, if you're going to keep banging away at the same crap, you're not being weather smart. Oh, I got a rant in. Isn't that lovely?
What did you get?
I said I got a rant in.
Oh, okay.
I
It
guess
was
it
a very
really
mild.
impressed you, Joe,
It
that
was a
that
very
was.
it was a very mild mannered rant,
Well,
though.
it wasn't. I didn't go. All right, I didn't go flush red on
Well,
my face or anything.
people like when we go ballistic on rants.
Oh, I know. We haven't done that in a while. This is
No,
not this. Well, we're going into the with the winter season coming. I'm sure there'll be plenty of reasons for us to go into rants along the way.
I'm sure there will be.
Okay, there will be a usual parade of victims. I have to also get my hands on, uh, when the Weather Service cut out the East Pacific Oscillation graphic, uh, it was a huge disappointment for me because to me, I've said many times, I I rather have a super negative E-specific oscillation, and that is, I'd rather have that than a super strongly negative NAO, because that is, the NAO is what everybody roots for, but when it was too strong, like it was during quite a stretch last year, everything goes way south. Yeah, it's cold, but you wind up being cold and dry. So there you go. Budget reasons, I think Mr. Contino was the reason, that they eliminated that graphic. I can't imagine they saved a whole lot of money by not putting up the East Pacific Oscillation. Um, but we get to see the Antarctic Oscillation, which is, I'm sure it's relevant in some way, but I don't usually hear people pulling up graphics of the Antarctic Oscillation or whatever it is, the Southern Oscillation. Anyhow, enough oscillating. Let's go to Briller Jeopardy, shall we?
Surely it's your turn tonight.
Okay, so we are doing still 24-hour snowfall records by state, and tonight it's the great state of Kentucky.
Oh,
Kentucky,
let's
Joe.
see. Well, let's see. Kentucky. I'll say 38.
That is considerably too high. Considerably too high.
Okay.
Um, John M. and Joseph Carr, you guys are pretty close with Snake Eyes 22. William Uber, you're on the doorstep at 25, but Mike Waterhouse Bonsai and Miss Fallerite at 24. I'm sorry, my mistake. That's 24. 25 is close. 27 is close from Frank R. It's 26 is the answer. And that was by Rich Rothmansky, by the way. 26. Give Rich Rothmansky a bell ring.
I'm doing it right now.
Okay. And it was in
And I
Simmers. I guess it's
had another also.
pronounced Simmers, Simers, or is it Simers, Kentucky? You might want to ask who's your relative that watches our show in Kentucky?
That would be my wife's cousin, Maria Hutchinson.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you
But
when
she
you
lives in a
talk
very her town is very easy to pronounce. Rush.
Rush, okay, Rush, Kentucky. Okay, but if you, it's either Simmers or Simers. Next is Louisiana.
Oh dear.
Louisiana.
Well, in northern part like Shreveport, and of course last year they had significant snowfall. So I'll go. I won't go double digits, but I'll say 9.
Oh no, you need to go double digits.
I need to go double
You
digits.
need to go double digits.
Oh well.
Uh, let's see. Harold Olson, you're not too bad with 26. And Patrick Darcy, you're not too bad at 22.
Wow.
So I've given you the range, folks, between 22 and 26. So who could put up the right number first? 25 is almost there. 23 is almost there. And Bonsai, Uber, Lowe, and Cardillo all getting it at 24. 24. Next,
That's
Joe, is
amazing
the.
because it's amazing when you consider that a place much further north. Yesterday we mentioned Lenox, Iowa, with
Right.
24 inches for the record for the state of Iowa, and here we are talking about 24 for Louisiana. For goodness sake!
Yeah. The great state of Maine.
Oh God, triple digits for somebody. I'll bet. Um, I don't know. Gee, yeah, God, Maine, 150.
And it's not quite that. Well, we already
Okay,
have a winner, though. We already have a winner. Carol DeCara, 42. 42. And it's
42.
in Estes, Eustis. Is that how you say it? Eustis. Estes?
Eustace?
Eustace? Eustace? Anyway, next, Maryland.
Maryland.
Maryland, Joe.
Um,
And before somebody says anything, I know it's Maryland, okay? I have a daughter who lives in Maryland, okay? But I like to call it Maryland.
Maryland. How about, well, I'll say 28.
Wow.
What?
Wow. It's so close. So
Oh, okay.
close.
All right.
28 is so close, and 30 is also very close, which means Carol DeChiara and David Fuller at 29, Joe, in Anne Arundel County. 29 inches.
Anne Arundel.
Anne Arundel, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Um, I guess that was her name. Was
Anne
that her
Arundel?
name? Anne Arundel?
I don't know. I
Um,
just,
uh, Massachusetts is our final state tonight.
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts. I'll
Well, we
give you,
know,
I will tell you this. It's in my favorite city in Massachusetts. You should know what my favorite city is. It's my
first of all, let me back up and apologize because I had forgotten that this was annual snowfall. So when I said 150 in Maine, I forgot that this was not annual. It was just 24 hours, and
right,
that
24 hours.
yeah, yeah, all right. Um, and Massachusetts,
Yes,
well,
it's my favorite city to pronounce.
Boston had like 26, 28 with a 78 storm. Has to be some. I know parts of Rhode Island had like 50 inches. Uh, I'll say 35.
It's a good guess. It's close. It's just a tad too high, but it's in my favorite city to pronounce in Massachusetts.
Worcester.
Worcester.
Hmm.
Worcester. And Mark Franz Sr. At 32 has the correct answer. And Mark, say hi to Mark Franz Jr. for me.
Was that? Yeah, well, he doesn't give the date. I'll bet you that
No,
was with the December. I'll bet you that was with the December 1992 nor'easter.
that could have been.
Yeah.
32 for Worcester. So there you go. So give everybody
Miss
oh, Mrs.
Mrs.
Hutch is on there. She says Simmers, Kentucky. It's pronounced S-I. How would you say that? Shmers? Shimmers? Scheibers? Scheibers?
Like the word
Like the word
simmers.
simmers. Oh, simmers. Well, that's what I said. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Mrs. Hutch. Most appreciative. Relatives come in handy, Joe. They
Yes,
really
they
do.
do.
All right. So I guess that pretty much wraps it up tonight. We don't have, with all these weak systems, there's just not a whole lot to get through. 3 days, well, today is almost over. Thursday, I get my countertops. I have 2 more days to get through without a sink. So Thursday, I will get my countertops, my kitchen sink, my dishwasher, and my kitchen will be done except for the backsplash, which I have to order separately, and that's going to come probably in a couple of weeks. So, for my purposes, it's done. I can host Thanksgiving. I'm a happy camper. So there you have it.
That's right. We're only 10 days away, aren't we?
Yep.
Or 11
So,
days.
and then what reminds me, I got to go to the supermarket tomorrow and start picking up a few things. So on that note, I think we could just say ta-ta to everybody tonight. Thanks for being here. And we'll see you everybody tomorrow night at our usual time, which is 7:35 p.m. Eastern. And you could always, if you missed the show, you could always watch it on a replay on YouTube. Or if you have Spotify, you could watch us on Spotify. And we're also on other podcast sites that call podcasts home. So we're everywhere. So we'll see you all tomorrow night. Say
And
good
thank
night,
you for the
Joe.
70. Good night, and thank you for the 76 likes tonight.
Yes, and also thanks again to Joseph Carr, who banged the tip jar tonight from the get-go. And we appreciate it very much. So we'll see you all tomorrow. Good night.
Good night. Good night, folks.